So today's video is a chance for me to report out to you on what I purchased in the prior month. So April is a month that went so freaking fast, and it's really funny how I feel like so many people are echoing this statement, which is March felt like the longest month of life. And then I blinked and April was over. Such weird months. Somebody needs to explain this weird time distortion that is clearly happening right now. When I filmed my Needs, Nopes, and Wants video for the month of April, one of the things I talked about was how I am at a place where I am fortunate enough to be able to have a job. That's almost even busier than it has ever been before inside of the pet industry, which has definitely been considered an essential industry. I have a job where when I wasn't traveling for work, I worked from home. And so in many respects, although this has been a very strange and isolating time frame, I've been able to have things march forward, both from a work perspective and from a financial perspective in a kind of a normal way. My job isn't at risk, and the income that I have coming in, both from this channel as well as, you know, inside of my own budgeting, has allowed me to continue to purchase during the pandemic. But I wanted to kind of change my thinking a little bit. So what I decided to do was spend my money towards smaller indie brands, towards brands that are going to be the hardest hit and have the least probably financial reserves to handle a crisis like that. And so that is what I did. I spent my money on those kinds of products this last month. And so want to report out to you on what I purchased. And then in my next video, we'll do another Needs, Nopes, and Wants, and we'll talk about kind of my thinking for the month of May. We're also drinking some white wine because it's 5:49 when I'm filming this. I don't know where my day went. My family's been having weekly Zoom calls, my mom's side of the family with my aunts and my grandma, etc. We're all spread to the wind anyway, but we started doing these weekly calls where we get on and there's like a theme for the week. And so like today was come with a joke prepared, and like a prior week was like make up a limerick, and everybody had to have a limerick prepared for it. And the week before that was like prep a musical instrument or prep something musical, right? So bust out that trumpet you haven't played since high school, or write a silly song or something like that. So every week we've been doing these themes and these Zoom calls. So my Saturday afternoon, definitely a huge chunk of my Saturday afternoon, which I'm typically filming, I was doing this Zoom call, which I love, but it also means I'm not entirely sure how it's almost 6 o'clock. I still have 2 more videos to film. All right, stop rambling, start filming, keep drinking wine. Oh, I know what I was also going to say. The second reason why I'm, reached for the cold beverage of choice here is because it's like 1,000 degrees in this room. It's almost 80 degrees outside today. Not sure what happened. I don't think we have our house set to turn the AC on yet because, well, you just don't need it typically this time of the year, but it also means this room is getting significantly warmer as the day progresses with these lights on me. So I'm kind of hoping that I don't come off like a hot, greasy mess. Let's get into this. This was a little order that I placed on Sephora on the 1st of the month for the Natasha Denona Mini Retro Palette. I really love this palette. I've done several looks with it. I posted out on Instagram different looks using this palette. I actually think it's like super versatile. I like that you've kind of got this sultry, smoky gray shade going in here. I like that you've got pinks. I love how multi-dimensional this shade is down here. It actually has both sort of pink, aqua, silver, glitter, multi-shimmer reflected in a pink base. Gorgeous. These 2 shades work fantastic as matte transition shades. You've got this really sort of peachy, shifty pink shade. It's just really well executed color story. I love the looks I get with it. Yeah, I just think this is really well done, and the formula on here was fantastic too. So very much enjoy this palette. It would definitely get 2 thumbs up for me if you were looking at it at all. And then the other thing I got in that order was there was like not a points perk, it was one of those like rewards codes or whatever that you type in, and I was actually able to get my hands on a teeny tiny little baby Kosas lipstick in the shade Rosewater, which is one that I was very interested in from them. This is a lovely comfortable formula. I think it's a really pretty rosy shade, very flattering for someone with cool undertones like myself, but the formula is just very comfortable, and like it's this glossy cream hybrid that really makes your lips look nice and plump and juicy. I really like this. I am not a huge fan of mini lipsticks and just the application of using a mini lipstick on my lips. I really don't love tiny mini lipsticks, but this is a good way for me to try out a formula and decide if I want to drop some money on this one. So this may be one that gets passed on to a friend or family, because I kind of have added this to my wish list at Sephora to pick up a full size of one of these from Kosas, because I do really think the formula is beautiful. And then on 4/2, I placed an order on Sydney Grace. I got their Enduring Love palette. I got the light version, and I cannot even begin to tell you how impressed I am with this palette. I did a video doing 7 looks with one palette. I will link that down below if you're interested to see some of the looks that came together from this, but it's everything that I've come to expect and love from Sydney Grace. Mattes that are pigmented but that blend with just the gentlest of ease, but yet don't dust away and blend to nothing. Her matte formula is just, it's so good. Her matte formula is probably the best on the market, and then her shimmer formula stands up to absolutely anybody's shimmer formula. I love that this palette leans a little bit more cool toned, but also has some pops of really pretty sort of pinky coral shades. Got this really interesting sort of murky olive green tone down here that I think is just super fun. I love that sort of grungy green gold depth you have there. Yeah, just in general, very impressed with her formulas, and love to see that this holds up to everything else I've ever tried from her. I will say I was a little disappointed that these pans seem to be glued in versus magnetized. Her previous palette, the Autumn's, not Autumn's Rain, it was, oh, Biscuits, what was that? Or maybe it was Autumn's Rain. Regardless, her last palette, I'll put a picture of it here on the screen. That palette ended up being not my favorite color story altogether, but it had so many shades that I loved on their own that I ended up just popping all of those pans out, writing the name on the back of them, and absorbing them into my single eyeshadow collection. And I have loved doing that. I have reached for those shades from that palette on numerous occasions to build little mini palettes for my Shop My Stash, etc. So I was kind of hoping that this newer palette would give me that same flexibility to pop the pans out and put them in magnetic palettes. But I also think this color story is fantastic. So yeah, just 10 out of 10, absolutely beautiful palette. And then the other thing I picked up from her was one of her lip creams. The packaging on this is stunning. I love this soft, frosty, sort of lucite base, and then this really pretty cap with the rose gold. Just feels very high-end. In terms of the color, I got the shade Shaley, which is a cool toned, sort of soft pink shade. The best way to describe this is sort of a liquefied lipstick, so it's not a matte liquid lip, it's like a shiny liquid lip. Very highly pigmented, but not sticky whatsoever. I think it's an absolutely beautiful shade. I don't have anything else like this in my collection right now in terms of color, and I very much enjoy the formula. The scent is not my favorite. It has a vanilla scent to it, which is nice, and I definitely get a hint of vanilla first, but it's definite that vanilla is definitely masking some of the ingredients that are in here to make the formula that probably don't smell as good. So I don't think it smells bad, don't get me wrong. And I definitely, when you first smell it, it's like vanilla. But then the longer you smell it, it's like, oh, it's vanilla masking maybe a more unpleasant chemical type smell. It's not unpleasant on the lips. It's not a scent that I smell once it's really applied. It's really just when I am applying it, I kind of notice that scent. So just wanted to call that out because I know scents can bother some people, and this one is not perfect. And then on 4/2, I made a purchase on Aether Beauty's website. Aether is a brand that I am definitely attached to right now. I have been so impressed with her eyeshadow palettes, and so when I saw that she was launching a cheek palette, I jumped on and ordered it. I got the lighter of 2 shades, so they have 2 offerings online. I got the shade Rose Quartz, and I just think this is such a nice mix of colors. You've got 2 blushes, one that's very sort of rosy pink and one that's a little bit more neutral, and then you've got an absolutely stunning highlighter. I did not end up buying her highlighters because although they give this very pretty wet look to the cheek, it felt like they were going to be a little too glittery for me. But this is definitely a different formula, and it's one that's just, it's just a really pretty highlighter. Like it just performs, I guess is the best way to say it. It doesn't emphasize texture. It gives a really, it can be built up to beaming, but in its natural state, I think it is more of one of those ones that just kind of melts into your skin and doesn't look like, oh, there's your stripe of highlighter that you applied in that area specifically right here, if that makes sense. And then I really do enjoy the two blush colors in here. They are a matte-ish type formula. They have just enough of a sheen coming from, I think it's a mica, that it's like, it's not flat matte, I guess is the best way to say it. Like when I look at it, I'm not getting any glitter particles or anything like chunky or weird, but it's giving me just the hint of, like just a kiss of satin is the best way to say it. Plus, I just think her packaging is so pretty. It's all very easily recyclable. I love the fact that it's kind of got this raised beveled top to it. It's absolutely beautiful packaging. So loving this palette. If and when I ever get back to traveling again, this is definitely one I could see myself tossing in my travel makeup bag. On 4/2, I had a couple of skincare things that I picked up. One was another Paula's Choice 2% BHA. My husband and I both use this product, so we do go through it, not super fast, but fast enough. So I wanted to pick up another bottle from Paula's Choice. And then my Curology Shipment also went out for the month. I have not actually opened that one, so it's the end of the month. I feel like I've been using that retinol treatment probably about 4 times a week. It'll be interesting now that it's warming up a little bit and my skin is definitely not as dry as it has been. If I can work myself up to using that on a daily basis, that's my goal, because I want the retinol in my skin. But it has definitely, I definitely have days where I'm like, gosh, my skin is very dry today. Probably not time to put retinol on top of it. Let's skip today and we'll do it tomorrow. And then I placed an order on PYT's website. So PYT is an indie brand that was started by 2 friends who wanted to do a clean beauty brand that was very easy and approachable. They developed these really cute packaging. Like I think their packaging is just really, really nice. It's got this sort of, all of them have sort of a, I don't know, it reminds me of like a speaker. I don't know how else to describe it in terms of like the dot pattern that they've used to kind of do this logo action on the front here. I got an eyeshadow palette from them, but I'm also very interested in the other eyeshadow palette, the blushes, the highlighters that they have. This is their Day to Night Cool eyeshadow palette. I really love this. This is definitely going to become a staple travel palette for me. I think the shimmers are fantastic. I love that you've got more of a satin texture down here and then something that's a little bit more intense in these lid shades here. You've got bigger pans in areas where you're probably going to use more of the product. And then you've got a really nice sort of range of colors from light to dark here in cool tone shades. I really enjoyed the looks that I came up with this. It's got a giant mirror up here at the top as well, which will be great for travel. They have a warm tone version of this that I am also now very curious about. The formula of the shadows, at least of the shimmers, reminds me a lot of what's in the Persona palettes, in the sense that it's like very opaque color, like lots of good color payoff here. It's not the most like foiled shadow ever, but it definitely is still very high shine, but it's very easy to work with. Blends really easily over the eye. Of just like a no fuss eyeshadow formula. And I really love, especially the 3 colors that they picked for lid shades, because I feel like they're just a little bit outside the norm of what I see for neutral palettes, in the sense that you've got a shade that leans a little bit more greeny, and then one that leans a little bit more berry, and then you've got a really pretty, you know, rose gold. That's pretty much more common. But I don't know, I just felt like the color story in here was interesting for a neutral palette, and I think they made a really nice color story decision. I was very impressed with the formula. So PYT definitely on my radar to try more products from. All right, so on 4/6, while I was at Target getting some groceries, I also picked up some more dry shampoo. They were out of my normal dry shampoo, and they had the Kristen S dry shampoo. They were out of the normal Kristen S dry shampoo, and they had one that was meant for brunettes. And so I picked that one up, so it's like tinted slightly, and so you don't really see a white cast when using it. And I actually like it a lot better. I don't know if I would have tried it if they hadn't been out of the normal one, but I actually feel like it's, I mean, I'm definitely, you're seeing the gray roots coming in here because I haven't had obviously gotten my hair done like all of us, right? And I actually feel like when I use the dry shampoo, it's almost masking a little bit of the gray hairs and kind of blending those into the rest of my hair. So I love that. I feel like the formula is very much the same as the first one. So the tinted one, didn't know that was an option and love it. And then I also made the decision to order from Dominique Cosmetics. They were in the process of launching their new skin glazes. And I wanted to support this sort of woman-owned indie brand. Can we just have a minute to talk about how beautiful this packaging is? It's got this raised lucite lettering on the top. It's got this, the back is clear acrylic, so you can see the color through here as opposed to it sitting in a metal pan. You see the actual formula itself through the back of it. It's got this amazing sort of magnet here into the lucite itself, like, and then a mirror at the top. Like, this is some of the prettiest packaging I've seen in, I can't even tell you how long. I pulled it out and I was just like, wow. The product itself is definitely very reminiscent of the Living Luminizer formula, very reminiscent of the Flower Beauty Skin Glaze that I love so much. It's definitely not a cream to powder type texture. So this is her lightest shade, and I'm hoping I can capture on film here. This does have, I call it Golden Dew, and I don't think it is like brassy gold, but it has a pretty gold shift to it. Like, it's not champagne at all. It definitely has a golden undertone to it. That means if I am doing a thin layer of it on my skin, I think it works for me. And I think the formula is really pretty. It's super reflective. It's that glass skin glossy look that I like so much. It's when I build it up to try and get any sort of like further intensity that I feel like all of a sudden it goes from being, it looks too gold on me. I think if you have fairer skin with a warmer undertone, this is a better option for you than the Living Luminizer or the one from Flower. I think you would probably gobble this up because it does have that more golden undertone to it. It's probably not my favorite colorway. I still think I like the one from Flower better in terms of colors, but the formula is lovely. The packaging just suckers me in, and I definitely can wear this color. I'm not going to sit here and tell you I can't wear this color. It just, in fact, let me put a little bit on right now. I'll put it over the top of, right now I have the Kitten highlighter from the Heaven's Hue highlighter from Stila on. Let me just put a little bit of this on. Tap it over the top. Melts into the skin, as you can see. Just very easy to work with. But it's definitely giving me more of a golden undertone than the more champagne color I have here. Hopefully the camera is picking up that difference. It's beautiful. Don't get me wrong. I mean, it's absolutely stunning, but it definitely reads like a light gold on me. And don't get me wrong, there are times where, especially when I'm doing warmer makeup and a warmer, maybe orangey cheek, I don't necessarily want a cool toned highlighter on at that point. And so I definitely feel like this has a place in my collection and it's unique. And the formula, like I said, it's just, it melts into the skin and it's so pretty. So yeah, thoughts on that. All in all, I'm really glad I purchased it. Okay, on 4/9, I received a palette in PR from Aether. So I had placed an order, when was that? On 4/2. for their cheek palette, and on 4/2 I got an email from the owner asking if I would like to try her new Joshua Tree palette, and I laughed. I told her, I've said I would love to. I actually just ordered your cheek palette and I saw that you were doing pre-orders for this palette, and I was honestly thinking about picking that one up too. So she sent it out to me. So the Joshua Tree palette is an all matte palette. It's the first all matte palette she's done, and the formula has hemp oil in it, and so it's actually it's a non-chalky formula. The addition of those oils inside of this formulation makes it very smooth, very easy to blend. It doesn't make it powdery or dusty or chalky or difficult to work with. And then the pigmentation on these colors is they're beautiful. The palette is definitely split between warm and cool shades, and I think the color story is a lot of fun. I did a beautiful look using these sort of purple and blue shades. I absolutely loved how that turned out. I've done very pretty warm looks and fun mustard orange colors, like doing this mustard and this sort of rusty orange shade together. Love how that turned out. And then you've got some darker deepening shades down here as well. So this is going to be a palette that's a lot of fun to use both on its own, in my opinion, and then also paired with some of her other palettes. So this I absolutely recommend. If this is a color story you like, and you like the idea of the mix of sort of warm and cool and a matte formula that 100% performs, definitely check this palette out. I do not think you will be disappointed in the quality at all in any of the shades. Part of the proceeds are going to save some of the Joshua trees. I will link that information down below so you can read more about where the proceeds for this palette are going. One of the things that Aether always does when they launch a palette is, or any product, is connected to some sort of organization and outreach that those products are going to support directly, which I love about this brand. This is a one-woman operation. She has a long background in the beauty industry, understands formulation, building products, but she is a one-woman show running Aether Beauty. And so when you reach out to her on Instagram or reach out on customer service on email, you are talking to the owner. She is doing absolutely everything to keep this brand afloat, and I think that's absolutely amazing, and she is launching lovely, lovely products in absolutely beautiful packaging with wonderful formulas. So the rest of the things I purchased for the month get a little interesting because I placed some other orders online, and by the time that they showed up, I had already filmed my Shop My Stash for the month of April, and that was me picking out the products that I would buy first if I lost everything in my collection. And then I have just completed, as of today, a 2-week time frame where I have used nothing but those products. I really wanted to test my theory of, did I pick the right ones? Did I feel like things were missing? How would I feel about only using those products and nothing but those products for several weeks in a row? And so I have a whole bunch of products here, not a whole bunch, but I have a decent number of products here that I have not had a chance to use yet. And so one of the things that I've done now is kind of open up the testing up new makeup. I'm going to continue to be very focused on my Shop My Stash makeup and kind of the things that I've picked, so I can report out to you guys a final time on how do I feel about these products. Like, are these really the ones that I would buy if I lost my entire makeup collection? But I also wanted to make sure that I had the ability to test new products. One of those is the Radiant Firming Concealer made with green tea from Erin's Faces. I think this is quite possibly the most beautiful concealer I've ever touched. It is in a glass bottle, which makes it fully recyclable. I got the lightest shade, which is called Cottonwood. They call this their Radiant Firming Concealer. I cannot wait to play around with this. I've swatched it on the back of my hand, and that is all I've done. It does feel like it has really good coverage. It feels incredibly smoothing. I think it's a really good color match for me. It's not too light, it's not too dark. It does seem to give some really nice hydration on the back of my hand as I played with it, but I'm probably gonna have to do, I use these videos a lot to kind of be a check-in for the things I've purchased, and I'm probably gonna have to film another check-in video with you guys. Maybe I'll apply all of these on camera and then check in with you and let you know how they're working for me. So then on 5/14, I placed another order on Sydney Grace. I follow Jen Phelps on Instagram as well as on YouTube. She used to be Beaudiction, and before that, I can't remember what she called herself. Anyway, she does beautiful photos of eyeshadows. She does fantastic videos comparing eyeshadow palettes one against another. So if you've been curious about this new ColourPop launch release, she'll compare it against past releases and other things in your collection to see if, okay, do you really already have these colors, kinds of stuff. She's a fantastic channel and a fantastic resource online for swatches of eyeshadows. She's recently gotten into Sydney Grace. She found the magic and she's obsessed, and she put together a palette, and I so fell in love with the color story. I think I stared at it for hours. Like, I kept thinking about it and I was like, gosh, I wonder how many of these shadows I have upstairs. I could just put this palette together myself. So I went upstairs and I went through all my Sydney Grace eyeshadows, and I think I had 4 out of the 12 shades. So I went and placed an order for the 8 shades that I was missing so that I could create, this palette. It's really well done. This is such a lovely color story that she put together. And there are some amazing duochrome shades from them that I didn't have. This shade in particular is called The Greatest Gift. Has this crazy, beautiful teal blue purple shift to it. Like, it's just such an amazing shade. I'm really excited. And then some of the mattes I actually thought I had and didn't have. And then there is one other shade that, don't get me wrong, I'm excited for this palette in general, but there's one other shade that when swatching completely blew me away. It's called Always Yours, and it's a mauve shade, which, you know, I feel like mauves we've seen, but this shade is so freaking metallic. There is no words. Like, is that not one of the most beautiful, most lavender, mauve, wet looking, oh gosh, I could sit here and stare at this on my hand for a long period of time. Tomorrow, now that I've lifted the ban on testing new products, I will be using this concealer, and this will be all over my eyeballs. So I will be filming tomorrow, probably some other videos, and that is what will be on my face. I can tell you that right now. So yes, very excited to play around with this palette, and I give Jen all the credit in the world for picking out these shades on the Sydney Grace website and putting this palette together. I think it's gorgeous. So on 4/17 was the first day. So on 4/17, that was the first day of the Sephora sale, and I placed a small order. At this point, I feel like I'd used up most of my budget. I had bought some rather expensive items. Indie makeup is not drugstore makeup. It tends to be a little more expensive. The Sydney Grace palette was $54. That Aether Beauty palette was $42. The 8 single shadows that I purchased in order to make this palette was another $50. So I had eaten up a good chunk of my budget with some of these indie purchases. But there were 2 things in particular that I wanted to get during the sale. One was the Kosas Hydrating Baked Bronzer. Can we just talk about how pretty this packaging is? Like, this lucite in this sort of minty green, just, I don't know, it's stunning. It's so pretty. So I've not had a chance to play with this yet. It definitely has a peachy undertone to it, so I don't think it's going to be orange on me, although we shall see. It has a really pretty satiny shift to it. It definitely is glowy. The product itself feels very nice in the pan, like it feels very smooth. It picks up. Some baked products can feel very stiff. That's not the case with this one. I'm curious about its hydrating claims. Yeah, it looks like it has a couple different kinds of shea butter in it. It has a metafoam seed oil. I'm not sure what that is. And it's got a vegetable oil in here. So it's definitely loaded with oils, which is interesting for a baked product. So I feel like this is a baked product that in theory should like melt into the skin. And then the second thing I got was a Rowan palette. So I got the 1111 eyeshadow palette. I've been curious about this formula, but the warm palette didn't really call to me because I felt like there were 2 shades in there that felt very similar to one another. The cool palette was pretty, but it still wasn't like calling to me. The color story in 1111 is stunning. I love it. And so I'm very excited to try this. I have swatched this palette. I have not put this on my eyeballs. It feels very interesting. There's definitely, as I've seen from many reviews, different formulas in here. You've got a more flaky formula and ones that are a little bit more emollient, I guess is the best word to say. I want to do probably a dedicated review on this product and then talk about dupes and talk about this formula in particular. So I really want to answer some questions about this that I am curious about. Everyone says there's nothing you can do to stop it from creasing. Is that really true? Are there things you could do to prep your eye that would keep it from creasing? I don't know. And then lots of people always say that you don't mind the creasing. I'm not somebody who loves creasy eyeshadows, so do I fall in that camp? Like, is this so magical that I don't mind creasing, or I think the creasing is cool? Like, this product makes me change my mind about creasy eyeshadow? I don't know. So I have a lot of unanswered questions for myself personally that I want to explore. Can you only apply this with your fingers, or is there a way to leverage a brush? You know, how long do they last? Do you get any glitter fallout? You know, this top shade seems pretty flaky. Do I end up with flakes all over my face as I try to apply it or wear it throughout the day? Color story, love. Love the finish of them. They definitely feel like very stiff in the pan, and you kind of have to rub your finger in them to kind of get that emolliency building. I think after looking at the ingredients, it's very clear to me that that is due to the synthetic beeswax that is very high up the ingredient list. So I am wanting to study the ingredients, especially probably the first, 6 to 10, because that's going to be the bulk of the formula. Like I said, I want to explore dupes with this and probably do a very in-depth video on this palette specifically. I don't tend to do a lot of dedicated one product review things on my channel. I feel like I have unanswered questions after watching other people's reviews that I would like to answer for you guys. So that is coming. That is the 1111. This is definitely the perfect color story for me, between the taupes and the peach and the more sort of, I don't know, mauvey berry shade there. Like, this is definitely the right palette for me to have picked in terms of color story. So yes, cannot wait to put this all over my eyes. So after I placed that order on Sephora, I was recognizing that products were taking a really long time. So I placed that order on Sephora on 4/17. I did not get that package for probably 2 weeks. And then I started checking other websites for my skincare items because it dawned on me, this is about the middle of the month, I start thinking about, okay, how do I want to spend the rest of my budget? Is there any other skincare that I need to purchase, or any other staples or things that I'm going to need to spend my money on before the end of the month, before I just like blow it on makeup and then all of a sudden need more dry shampoo, right? And so middle of the month, I'm always doing like an internal budget temperature check, like, okay, how much have I spent? How much do I have left? Are there any other things that I'm going to need to purchase through the end of the month that I need to make sure I'm not, buying a really pretty lipstick when really I needed moisturizer, right? So I did that sort of process like I always do, and started to realize that there were things that I was going to need. I was going to need a face wash for our shower that my husband and I use. I was running very low on my nighttime moisturizer. I was about halfway through my discoloration serum from Good Molecules, and I was going to run out of my first step of my face wash as well. And so I recognized, okay, I need some skincare. And most of those things were products that I could have purchased probably mid-May. Like, I don't think I'm going to run out of any of those products in the month of April. So historically, I would have looked at those and gone, okay, let's put those as probably some of your first purchases for the month of May. You'll be fine through the rest of April. May week 1 or 2, let's place an order. I was checking on the websites though where I buy those products from, and they were saying delivery could be like a month or a month and a half. And all of a sudden, now I'm sitting here in April and I'm like, oh crap, like I could place this on April 17th and it might not be here till the end of May, and I may run out of these products completely. So I can't wait. Like, I have to stockpile some skincare because I don't know how long it's going to take to get to me. It could be a month and a half from now. So I ended up doing some skincare orders. One on Derm Store, I ordered my nighttime moisturizer. So this is from Kosas. This is a cruelty-free Korean brand. This is their Comfort Ceramide Cream. This is loaded with Centella Asiatica leaf water, which has really nice calming, sort of skin soothing, skin repairing type benefits from it. It's got butylene glycol, which is an ingredient that is going to cause all the other actives to go deeper into your skin. Love seeing that in skincare. It's got glycerin, sunflower seed oil, capric, triglycerides, and then it has a whole bunch of ceramides and hydrogenated lecithin. Wow, I can't talk today. So it is a fantastic product loaded with really deeply soothing, deeply hydrating skincare ingredients, and I absolutely love this. It came before the end of the month. Dermstore took about 2 weeks to get here, and then I also went ahead and ordered a cleanser from Kosas as well. I've never tried this one before, but I was looking for a foaming cleanser for that we keep in the shower that we can use with our Clarisonic. And so this is their Calming Foam Cleanser. I really liked that the first ingredients in here were water, glycerin, stearic acid, and my stearic acid. So very gentle ingredients inside of here. What's interesting is that there is a couple of, so there's Lavandula hybrida oil, which I think is a lavender oil, and then there's also Pinus sylvestris leaf oil, and I need to do a little bit of research on these ingredients because I typically don't buy skincare that has like essential oils in them. I definitely avoid all citrus oils, hands down, and I tend to try and avoid products that have fragrance in them in my skincare. I don't know if what I think is lavender oil and then a pine leaf oil are skin sensitizing ingredients. I need to research those a little bit more. I did smell this product and it definitely has a very pine scent to it. Neither my husband nor I mind it. I actually think it smells really nice. If they made this into a candle, I would totally buy it. I will probably use this even if these ingredients tend to be skin sensitizing, because this is probably only going to get used on my face maybe once a week, because I tend to only use my Clarisonic once a week. That is the Calming Foam Cleanser. I will report back further on those ingredients and what I think about this. And then I had a bit of a crisis of conscience because I went out on the Beautylish website the same day I placed an order on this, so on 4/19, and I was like, I'm gonna order on Beautylish too. They're like running a week and a half, or they're running, like they're saying, a month and a half on delivery, and I was like, oh my gosh. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna order my serum, and I'm gonna order my daytime moisturizer, and I'm just gonna go ahead and order their cleansing balm. I had planned on purchasing or ordering rather the cleansing balm from the Body Shop. A lot of you guys have told me how fantastic that is, but at this point I wanted to get to a free shipping point with Beautylish, and I was already been placing an order on Beautylish, and the other balm I wanted to try was from Good Molecules, so I'm like, you know what, screw it, I'm just gonna order the balm on Good Molecules. So I go out there and I put the balm in the cart, check. I go to get my moisturizer, it's out of stock. I go to get my serum, it's out of stock, and I'm like, what am I going to do? I've been trying to use the serum to see if it like deals with the discoloration, and I've already gone through a 2-week time frame because they've been out of stock before. It's clearly very popular. What if their whole, thing is disrupted and I'm not gonna be able to get any of these products? And I'm like, okay, fine. I will place an order. Maybe then I'll just place an order for the Body Shop one. For the cleanser, maybe I'll go back to Trader Joe's and just get the gel moisturizer again. Hopefully that's enough this time of year for me to be okay with it. And then my serum, it is what it is. If I can't get it, I can't get it. Like, what am I gonna do? So I signed up for text alerts if those products kind of came back into stock, and I was just kind of like, I held off. And so then on, let's see, about 3 days later, I got a text that all the products were back in stock on Beautylish. So I made the decision to go a little bit over my budget this month. It's not a lot. I went over by $1.42. So it's not like I busted everything out of control, but I've never done that before. I've been very strict about always sticking to my budget. But I made the decision to go ahead and place an order for 2 serums, not 1, which is what threw me over that amount. I'm nervous that the last 2 times I've gone to place orders for my discoloration serum, they've been out of stock. Now they've come back in stock in relatively short order. This one was obviously only a few days. It was a few weeks the last time I went to order it. But there's also weird shipping that's just taking a long time to get here. And when I placed that order on 4/22, there was a chance it wasn't going to be here until the end of May, is basically what they were saying. So I just made the decision to do a little stocking up, to get 2 bottles of that serum so that I had a backup here. There's no active ingredients in here that I feel like are super light sensitive or are going to go bad on me. I'm going through these serums in about a month and a half, so this bottle's sitting for a month and a half in my dark closet, away from heat and humidity. It's not going to go bad. It's not like a vitamin C serum. I like my skincare to be as fresh as possible. It's why I buy it on demand. I don't keep a big stockpile of skincare, and don't keep a lot of skincare open that I'm not actively using. But I'm going to make an exception here because I would like to not be without this serum. So I ordered 2 of those. I ordered one of the Good Molecules priming moisturizers, and I've really enjoyed that. I'm almost out of the bottle I have now. And then I went ahead and ordered their cleansing balm. I will say, right as I was sitting down to film today, there was a doorbell went off and the box actually showed up today. So today is May 2nd, so it didn't take nearly as long to get to me as they were kind of bracing me to. I think they said anticipated delivery date was something like May 28th when I ordered. So I'm very grateful that it came faster than anticipated. They're definitely bracing people like, hey, expect really long ship times. We're going to have a minute to talk about how nice their shipping and packaging is. They're based out in San Francisco, so they've got these little like stamps that they put here, and then whoever packs your product does their little initials up here in the corner. And then inside, everything is just packed so freaking nicely. Here are my discoloration serums, which is great. I probably only have about maybe 25% left of the bottle I have open. Here is my silicone-free priming moisturizer. This one I really like that it has a pump that kind of moves all of the product up from the base. So it's very easy to see when you are running low, but it's getting up every possible amount of product. So this is my daytime moisturizer. And this is the one I'm most curious about because I haven't used it yet. So this is their instant cleansing balm. It says it's formulated with nourishing sea buckthorn oil, camellia oil, and shea butter. So this will be the first step of my cleanse. I think I have a teeny tiny bit left from my very last Physicians Formula matcha cleansing balm. It might be enough for today and tomorrow. Maybe it's just one more night's worth. So at some point here, probably Monday, I will probably start using this. So this has got 2.5 ounces, so it's a bigger container than the one I have right now. Super curious about the smell. Oh, awesome. See, they've got the little spatula at the top, which I very much appreciate so that you're not digging your fingers in. It is a white balm. Doesn't have much of a scent. Maybe a slight soapy scent. Not much of a scent to it though. That's nice. Very excited to give this balm a whirl. I will tell you, even if I love this balm, my next balm purchase will be the one from the Body Shop because I really would like to compare and contrast both of those. So that takes me to my totals, which I've already told you I'm slightly over for the month. So let's look at this. In total, I had $508.27 to spend. My $300 budget, I had $164.46 in AdSense and Magic Links money. And then I had a rollover from the prior month of $43.81. And so when I look at my totals, I had $58 coming from PR from that Aether Beauty palette that was sent to me. I'm tracking all my PR in here. It doesn't go against my budget totals, but I am keeping track of my total, basically like how much product did I receive in, how much was that value, etc. In terms of makeup basics, didn't have anything this month and nothing from drugstore either. In terms of makeup high-end, I had $329.35. This is always a tricky one for me when I'm buying from indie brands. It's like, okay, so this Sydney Grace, you know, lip thing was only, what was this? $12. Okay, is that drugstore price? Or is that high end? I mean, her eyeshadow palette was $58, so that's clearly expensive, but then like her singles are like $6, so that's more like ColourPop prices. I don't know. I defaulted to putting most of the indie products that I've purchased in high end and not drugstore. So that is why you see the $329.35. I spent $166.05 on skincare, so that's a little high for me, but like I said, I was trying to make sure I had all the things that I was going to need in the foreseeable future. $14.30 on hair care, and then $0 on anything for body care. So that brings my total to $509.69, and then total plus PR to $567.69. Technically puts me in a negative balance for next month, so negative $1.42. I honestly feel fine about that. I really do. I'm not going to quibble over $1.42, and I will take that money from next month's budget. So once again, I still feel like that was the right decision for me, especially given just everything that's going on. I've got a kind of simple pie chart this month. You can see that 65% was spent on high-end makeup, which was all from these indie brands that I had purchased from. I had 33% coming from skincare, and then a teeny tiny 3% from hair care. Definitely a bit of a lopsided pie chart here, but definitely reflective of what I said I wanted to do, which was, you know, obviously maintain my skincare routine, but focus my purchases into the indie brands over the month of April. That wraps us up for my beauty budget the month of April. Hope you guys enjoyed this. Like I said, I will follow up with some products that I purchased that I have not even tried yet. I hope you guys are having a great week. Look forward to chatting with you down in the comments about things that you purchased in the month of April. Always love hearing what's caught your eye and what you've picked up and what you're thinking about it as well. So talk to you soon. Bye.